Monsters have been objects of curiosity for centuries, but the history of them is complicated. Mike Weiss checked out a new exhibit at the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library that traces the origins of monsters through more than 800 years of written history.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hollywood has always loved a good monster. A scary creature to keep us on the edge of our seats, or something that makes us confront our deepest fears. But the curator of this new exhibit on the history of monsters thinks pop culture needs to give them more respect.
I think in a way we have trivialized them, and they lost some of the value of their history.
David Fernandez has gone through 800 years of material at the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library, finding examples of monsters depicted through history as propaganda, an attempt at natural history, and even in old medical books to describe babies born with birth defects.
And they're using the term monstrosity to describe real people with conditions that we know now have actual names, and in some cases, treatments.
He says it's important to understand how monsters came to be and what they can tell us about ourselves. Looking around the collection, you can see that at certain times in history there's increased interest in monsters, usually around times of social upheaval. The start of the Reformation or early explorations of North America, even the start of the Industrial Revolution. No wonder that as we deal today with our own technological changes, our interest in monsters is stronger than ever. Fernandez points to the enduring popularity of Frankenstein.
It's about the warnings of using technology without thinking of the ethics or the limits of technology.
The exhibit has a rare 1831 book with the first illustration of the classic monster, an attempt to use science to create life. Fernandez thinks it has a message that should resonate in the current search for artificial intelligence.
We don't know what's the limit, and so I think we'll be using the story of Frankenstein to think about that as well.
So where are today's monsters manifesting themselves? Fernandez says you just have to continue watching the news.
We describe hurricanes as monster storms, for example, or when someone commits a horrible crime, like serial killers or sex offenders, we label them as monsters. In some ways, that dates back to early notions of monstrosity.
The Origins of Monster exhibit is at the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library until December 21st.
It is the spookiest night of the year. The children are out and about, decked out in costumes, grabbing candy at every house. But today is also an anniversary for an iconic monster. We'll have more on that for you next.